friends, happy Tuesday. Before I say anything, I just want to say that I just recorded 5 minutes of video without recording the video, hitting the video button. So just sitting in a room talking to a computer, not even recording it. New level of weird I've just hit, so that's great. It is a nasty day here at the National FFA Center in Indianapolis. As you can see, it's just rainy and you can't see that it's cold, but I promise it's cold. It's gloomy. It's just me. And I've learned that our weather is about a day ahead of the weather that you get back home, so good luck. This is pretty terrible. Have fun. I am thoroughly okay with giving it to you, though, so that I don't have to deal with it anymore, so you're welcome. Believe it or not, we're looking at 2 weeks out from convention. As of tomorrow, we'll be together in exactly 15 days. And that means we have 15 days to dive into this process, learn about it, and be ready to conduct these interviews on Wednesday and pick the state officer team. This video is going to go over some updates that I have for you, and I'm going to dive into the scoring process a little bit and how we score and what a scorecard looks like and how that goes. I'm going to try and keep it a little bit shorter than the last one. I rambled a lot that last time and just want to be better steward of your time. So I'm going to try and hold myself accountable since I'm just talking to myself in a room and I don't have anyone holding me accountable for it. So some small updates. I'm sure you saw my email yesterday that now state officer applications have been posted to the wiki page. We officially have 16 state officer candidates. That is more than I've ever dealt with as the nominating committee coordinator, and I'm pretty positive it's the most we've ever had in New Jersey FFA recorded history. So that's awesome. Like, that's really cool. That means that we're doing some really good things and that a lot of people want to be state officers and want to serve members, which is a good thing. It's also a cool problem to have because it creates just a lot of interviewing, a lot of scheduling, it's going to create a larger commitment on your part to giving 100% of the time, because it's hard to interview 10 candidates or 5 or 1. It's going to be a lot to interview 16. So it's just getting enough sleep before convention starts, being prepared, fully executing everything that you have committed yourself to, and just being fully present when we're there will make this process go pretty seamlessly. With the applications, as I kind of mentioned in the email, it's expected that you're going to look through them before we get to convention. There should be all 16 on there now that were updated. I know there were a couple that weren't working. Those should be fixed. Some things I want you to look for in the applications is read what they wrote. There's places in the application where they can check a box, and that's great. And I want you to pay attention to that and know where their experiences lie and what they've done, but also read what they wrote and read what they elaborated on and read their statement of why they want to be a state officer. That can give you a lot of insight into who they are as a person. Pay attention to their SAE projects. See how many of them are very much involved in agriculture or different types of agriculture and which ones are not. And that's totally fine one way or another, but it'll give you a glimpse into who they are before we actually meet them. Pay good attention to their photobiography page. That will give you an idea of what they look like so you can recognize them at convention if you haven't seen them before. And also, it's just a quick snapshot of who they are. And it'll help you get just a better idea of what you're getting into with each of them. In person round 1, as I mentioned last week, we will be identifying something about a candidate to ask in each of their interviews. So it would basically go something like, in your application, you stated XYZ. Tell us a little more about that. Or why do you blank? It's finding something that's tailored to them so that they can talk a little bit more about themselves and really give them an opportunity to showcase something about themselves, and also show that we actually have shown an interest in their application and have given them an opportunity to show their individualism. So with that, you pretty much just have until convention to get that done. I'm not going to monitor it. I am going to remind you, but I'm not going to set a deadline or monitor it or whatever. Feel free to print them out and bring them with you if you want. It's a lot of paper, but it is totally okay with me. Whatever works best for you. So today we're going to talk about part 2 of this process, and that is scoring, competencies, scorecards, all that fun stuff, and how we narrow these people down using the numbers game. This is partially a humanistic thing where we just gauge them off of the interactions we have with them, but there's also numbers involved in scoring and things and tools that help us identify who they are. Does the scoring make or break who gets on the team? No. It's a tool. It is a guide. It is something for us to see that says how they did in the process. It is a measurement of how they did in each of the interviews based on your scores. But that doesn't mean that these people scored 1st through 7th. These people get elected. That's not how this works. It is just a tool and a guide to help you weed through all of these candidates. So that's based off of 8 state officer competencies. The whole process is based off of these 8 areas that have been identified are important areas for state officers to be proficient in. These are the same competency areas that national officers are evaluated off of. These are communication skills, team player, areas of knowledge, organization skills, their character, their influence, their passion for success, and their critical thinking skills. That's a tough thing to score, right? It's really difficult to look at someone and say, I think you have good character, check. That just doesn't work. So there's a system we go through to get us to narrow it down and to really hone in on what these skills are, because character covers a lot of different things. It covers a person's positive attitude, but it also covers their maturity. It covers their work ethic, but it also covers their reliability. You can't score that all at once. It's not possible, because someone could be really reliable, but they might not have a positive attitude. But then you can't just score the whole competency based off of that and it just doesn't work. So we break it down a little bit. So this might get weird in terms of glitchiness, but I have some visuals to show you, but they're mirrored. So when I show them here, you get backwards. So I'm going to have to pause and flip the camera and pause and stuff, and you'll see. But this is just an idea of what it looks like, and then I'll talk about it some more. Well, that didn't work, so that's okay. Story of my life. So basically, I know this is backwards, but it's totally cool. I'll explain it. So the way we break this down is we start with competencies, and competencies are those 8 areas that eventually show us how proficient a state officer is and how capable and how competent a state officer is. Those are our competencies. But as I mentioned, they're very different. Like, there's a lot of things that can fall into a competency area. So how do we evaluate each of those? Well, in each of the interview rounds, based on what we are evaluating candidates on in a specific round, which is denoted well before you get there, and it's nothing you have any control over or need to worry about, we evaluate them based on different specific builders, which is what competencies are broken down into. So that falls into reliability, work ethic, positive attitude, or if it's communication, it's speaking skills, nonverbal skills, writing skills, facilitation skills, a lot of very different things, so that you can score those things individually and then create a cumulative state officer competency score. But then even the builders can be tough sometimes, because there's a lot of different areas that things can fall into, like a facilitation skills, it's classroom management, but also like ability to speak and ability to give directions. And there's a lot of different areas that even create a well-rounded evaluation of a builder. So that's broken down into indicators. Indicators are things that indicate whether or not a skill is present. Once you've scored the indicators, those numbers give us what a builder score looks like. So if there are 6 indicators in a builder, all 6 of you would score one of those indicators, and all of your scores put together would create a builder score. You don't have to worry about the builder scores, the computer does it for us. After we have builder scores, those builder scores are accumulated, and that creates a competency score. So through evaluating whether or not a score is indicated, it tells us whether or not a score builds up to a well-rounded competency. And then once we have our competency scores, we average those together to get a state officer score. So think of it as blocks building down. State officer score is determined by discovering competency score. Competency score is discovered by finding out what the builder score is. And then that's determined by the indicator scores, which is what you as committee members are evaluating. How do we do this? Whew. Still tough, right? We have a lot of scorecards. As I mentioned, each of you are already assigned builders and indicators that you'll be scoring, and these are rubriced out, and you all will have specific scorecards you'll get that are catered exactly to you. You'll each be assigned a number, and we have a NomCom 1, NomCom 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and those are specifically broken out to that specific number so that all of the different things within this process are scored. This is what a scorecard looks like. Again, I know it's backwards. This is a scorecard for person around 1. Basically, if you're asking questions, there'll be question options for you on the front, and then this is how you would score it. You see here, there are rubrics. So this is a builder. Okay, the builder is right here. I'm sorry, this is a builder. 6.2 commitment to FFA. That's something that builds into the Passion for Success score. But there's a lot of different ways we can score building commitment to FFA. So this person would be scoring supporting and advancing the FFA mission through words and actions. They have a rubric to show them how a skill is present. So there's a 5 that says, different things that to determine whether or not a skill is present. There's a 3 that tells us whether or not a skill is present, and there's a 1 that tells us whether or not a skill is just not present. So it's none, moderate, strong evidence a skill is present. Other people, other committee members, I should say, probably are scoring the 6.2 builder, but they might be scoring a different indicator within that builder, so that the two of you together are scoring different things, but together creating that overall score. In terms of actually scoring it, there's this very specific way we do it, and there's some things you want to remember. We score on a scale of 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Excuse my terrible drawing. Only 1, 2, 3, or 5, which means no. No, 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 no. You will destroy my scorecard if you do this, and I'll honestly not even put it in. I'll find you, and I will hunt you down, and I'll get a new score. We need to use whole numbers because it is such a number system that decimals destroy it, because it's already 19,000 scoring points that are coming together to create one number. Throw decimals in there, we got a lot more numbers. So we stick through 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Don't put it in the middle. Don't say, it's like a 4 or a 5. That doesn't work either. So the way we score it is you'll have this scorecard after every candidate. You'll go through and you'll have a highlighter and you'll hear them interview and you'll be like, You'll listen to what they say. You'll look through the rubric. They'll kind of show that they can speak with passion and emotion and interest about FFA's mission. They're thinking about FFA's purpose is very deep and evident. They definitely incorporate all of the FFA in all of their activities, and the FFA mission is very much clearly internalized in them. They totally get it, and they are 100% about it and committed to it. That based on this rubric is a 5. So what I'll do as a committee member, I'll take my highlighter and I will put a line on the 5. If we want to do a 4, while it is discouraged, a 4 or a 2, I prefer you stay between 3s, 1s, and 5s. If you want to do a 2 or a 4, just go ahead and do that center bar right there for 4, center bar right there for 2. It's very important to make sure that you score all of the different areas that you're assigned to. If you don't, I can't enter the scorecard, and I will find you and hunt you down again. Scorecards are already there for you. You don't have to worry about a lot of things other than reading the rubric and scoring. You'll have all of your scorecards before the process starts. You'll have time to look through them and get an understanding of what they look like and what you're looking for. And they also are pretty user-friendly in terms of hosting the questions that you need to ask. They can places to write, things like that. So that's like the scoring process in a whole. As I mentioned, it is not a make-all, break-all. Everything that happens from the time we arrive at convention to the time that we leave is considered evidence. So what we can't do is we can't say, well, I go to school with this person and on one day in school, I saw them do this and it was bad and that person cannot be a state officer. As much as that might stink for you as a committee member, that information is not valid, I don't want to use the word not welcome, but it will be shut down. I'm not allowed to let you bring in that information, and I will tell you why. Don't worry, I'm not just a mean person. Think about it this way. If 2 people from your chapter are running for state office, or 1 or whatever, but no one on the committee is from the Buena Regional FFA chapter, which is true. Yet we have people on the committee that are from the Allentown FFA chapter. So if the people from the Allentown FFA chapter have someone on the committee that can either speak for them or against them, but the person from the Buena Regional FFA chapter does not, that is not fair, right? Because there's only 6 committee members, but there's 16 candidates. So only things that happen during convention, from the time we arrive to the time we leave, are things that are permissible in deliberations. Anything that happens during convention is free game. So if you saw a candidate do something either good or very unprofessional at the dance, not that you'll get to it, so that was a terrible example, but anytime during convention, if you see them doing something really great that you think, wow, maybe they didn't interview so well, but I can definitely see that they're highly qualified to be a state officer. It's just maybe they're not the greatest at interviewing, because I've seen them outside during convention and they're being a great role model and everything. Maybe we should talk about it. That's permissible. If you've seen bad things, like you've seen them being unprofessional or something that is not worthy of being a state officer, that is also permissible, but nothing that did not happen during convention will be allowed. So with that, scoring is an option, is just one of the tools of evidence that we have. It's just something else to provide us guidance in making this decision. When I say us, that is me speaking inclusively, but I mean the 6 of you. I received a couple questions about that. It is totally solely the 6 of you that are making this decision. I'm just there to make sure that you have the guidance and support you need to understand how to do it. With that, that's pretty much all I want to cover in scoring. I don't want to overwhelm you or too much info. So as always, if you have any questions, go ahead and send me an email or send me a text message. I'm totally cool with that. Other than that, review those state officer applications and keep being awesome. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks and 1 day. That is insane. Thanks, guys.